Greetings, everyone. I say peace, love, light, honor, and respect to you all. May all be well with you, your loved ones, and everything and everyone that you hold dear to you. Peace, peace. Uh, trying to fix my screen. All right. Yeah, had a little bit of technical difficulties right there, but I'm back and we're getting there. We're getting there. Again, I say peace, love, light to you all, to all that is watching, to all that will be joining. Much love, much respect to you all. Uh, came across a video, right? I was doing my research on this pandemic, right? But I came across a video that's it's not about the pandemic, but it's also about um misrepresentation, misleading words, phrases, um that is used on everyday travelers and how ones are singled out because of what is called a quota system. And this is how to identify public servants that works in a quota system, meaning that they have to make arrests, tickets, audits, these type of things based on quota to see how much they'll get paid overtime or for their raise, right? It's like going to a car dealership, the dealer gets a commission for each car that he sells. Well, these public servants get a commission for each time they ticket you or forcibly arrest you and violate your rights. Now, folks say, well, they didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know some of these things. And then some folks will say, well, it takes a person 6 months to be a police officer, but it takes a person years before they can be a lawyer. True. It takes a person years before they can be a lawyer. And still, they still don't practice law. They practice color of law, these lawyers, these liars. And we must know the difference. It's important for us to understand the legal jargon, the legal language of legalese. It's important for us to know these things because if you don't know these things, what's going to happen is you're going to end up living in a world where you're being oppressed by a particular language of law and lose all your freedom, all your rights. Now, I want to play this audio. Give me 1 second. Let me find it. Um, Let me find it. Now, it's called Passenger Knows the Law, right? And this is from San Joaquin Valley, I think transparent. Let me hold on. I'm gonna wait for it to come up. All right. All right, give me 1 second. Let me situate it and pull it right up. Yeah, so it's called Passenger Knows Law in the in this awesome video, and this is from San Joaquin Valley Transparency. All right, so these are like guys that go around and do audits on public servants to make sure that they're actually doing their job correctly, how they're supposed to do it by the law, and not making up law policies and laws as they go, and are actually respecting and representing the Constitution. Right. This is what these folks do. They're called like auditors. Right. And it's within their right to do so, because as you are what they say, or as they are public servants, you are supposed to be actually their bosses. So you are allowed to go around and videotape them and record them and check them and make sure that they're doing their job correctly. Right. So I'm going to back this up a little bit and play this. And now I want y'all to listen to this Texas trooper, right, and his supervisor, to show you the corruption, okay, and how they like to twist the language, and how they created corporate policies to put a twist on the corporate policies. They created corporate policies to put a twist on the law, so that they can think that they're getting away with abusing their power, right, and manipulating the folks whom they are targeting, because you don't understand the legal jargon.
Whenever the topic of asking the passenger for ID is brought up, pay attention to this video. Go subscribe to LMOI News. Let them know San Joaquin sent you. I'll see you guys over there.
Do you have a driver's license or identification on you? Yes, you are required to answer the question.
Well, I don't think he needs to identify if he hasn't committed a crime.
It doesn't matter. If I ask him to identify himself, he needs to identify himself. Are you familiar with Penal Code 38?
What does Texas law say? Statute 38.02 of the Texas Penal Code reads, it's against the law to refuse to give your name, address, or date of birth to an officer, but only if the person refuses after they're arrested.
Yep. What does it say? Very well. You have an ID on your non. You need to lawfully arrest him. No, I don't have to lawfully arrest him. I don't have to. He's being detained on a traffic violation. Yeah, he's not.
Now, pay attention, right? If you can't hear clearly, now they're going back and forth with the officer. So the officer asks the driver for his ID, and the driver was asking him like, if he suspects him of committing a crime, right? And what was the reason for him pulling him over? Then he turns to the passenger and asks the passenger for his ID, and the passenger told him, no, I have not committed no crime, so I'm not showing you my ID, pretty much. So now he's trying to tell them that by law they have to show ID. So they recited back Texas's own corporate policy that says no, they don't have to show ID, because ID is only supposed to be given when they are lawfully arrested. And you're supposed to pay attention to that word, lawfully arrested, right? So lawfully arrested goes along the borders of if you have committed a crime, meaning you harmed someone, destroyed someone's property, caused damage, okay? Then when the handcuffs go on you, and when the handcuffs go on you, for those reasons, you have been lawfully arrested. If you have committed an arrestable offense, meaning a crime, a criminal act, if you have not done so, and they're talking about a traffic violation, yeah, those are not arrestable offenses. Now, all of this has to do with contracting. You see that license, that driver's license? That is a contract. Once you went to the DMV and got a driver's license, you contracted with the DMV, and you contracted with the policy officer's department, unknown to you, because that license is a business license. And you've contracted to say that, well, what you're going to do now is you're going to agree to adhere to their traffic codes. You're going to agree to adhere to that they can always pull you over anytime they want until you run your ID. You understand? Because of that driver's license that you got from the DMV. And the reason why they're able to do so, right, if you do not reserve your rights, is because you took your property when you got it from the motor vehicle um yard or lot, right, from the car sales lot. When you got your automobile, right, from the car salesman's lot, the car salesman never gave you the original title to the car. What he gave you was some documentations, bill of sale of these things, or saying that yes, you have purchased this vehicle, but you didn't get the original title. You went down to the DMV and you placed your property under a DMV title, which made the DMV owners of your car, right? And when you made DMV owners of your car, they are the licensor, you are the licensee. You now agreed to a contract when you also went to the DMV, got that license, registered your car to the DMV. So the license is the contract. The registration is now saying that the DMV owns your property. The DMV is contracted to work with the police department, which is originally pronounced policy department. Okay. So the DMV now contracts with the policy department. They worked out a deal with the policy department in a quota system. Every time they pull over one of the DMV's property and tickets them, they share the spoils. Okay. Now the policy officers department contracts with the tow trucking company. So every time the tow trucking company tows away a vehicle by the police or policy officers' orders, they share the spoils. It's business. It's all contracting. Now, if you're a person that knows your rights and realize that, hey, by law, you don't have to show ID, because once you show them the ID, you're showing them that you've already signed a contract with a branch, a subsidiary of the Policies Officers Department, which is the DMV, which now will give them all the right to violate the shit out of you through policies of vehicular codes and all these traffic infraction violations and so on and so. Okay? This is what they do. Now, we're going to play out this audio. Try to hear it the best you can. If not, the video is called Passenger Knows the Law in This Awesome Video. That's what it's called. Passenger Knows the Law in This Awesome Video. And it's by San Joaquin Valley Transparency. All right? Well, let's go. It's about 19 minutes long. But we ain't gonna we're gonna play all the tricks that these officers do. And when their tricks don't work, we're gonna show you now how they go down to the threats. They get deep into the threats to kidnap you, to force you to contract. Because if you don't take that ticket, and if you don't sign that ticket, then it's not an admission of guilt and you're not contracting. You see, when an officer pulls you over and say, hey, you've been doing 95 and a so-and-so, let him prove it. He has to prove that shit. He's accusing you of doing something. You don't say, yes, officer, my bad, I'm sorry. Then you admitted guilt right there. And he has to take you to court and prove it. But you don't know that. So you go ahead and you take the ticket and the ticket is an admission of guilt. What the officer did was found you guilty right there on the spot without taking you to court. Okay, so now let's go. And and you're gonna hear him even admit all this shit. All right, just listen to the officer.
It doesn't matter. He's being detained at a traffic stop. I have the right to identify anybody in the vehicle. Only just suspect him of a crime. That's 3802. That's what I'm gonna do to see if he has any warrants or anything for his arrest. Well, you suspect him of having any warrants? Could be, yeah. Well, you have to articulate your reasonable articulable suspicion. Okay, of a crime.
What we do here on this channel is try to point out things that are obvious. Clearly, police officers are being briefed every day to get out there and to ask for ID and to run as many people through the system as possible to check for warrants. And that has become a big problem in America. In this video, the passenger does not have to ID. The officer is pretty much demanding ID, almost under the threat of arrest. And that actually puts the officer in a bad position. If you're an officer and you're watching right now and you're paying attention, understand that your superiors are putting you in a very bad position. Keep watching.
You're breaking the law twice.
Well, you're talking to me then?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, again, Constitution says that you ought to be secured in your papers and your persons. Constitution also says that you have the right to travel freely without being hindered. Not only does the Constitution says that, Supreme Court case law also says that. So, an officer's job, when he's put into the common law position, is not to enforce traffic infractions. A policy officer becomes a law enforcement officer when a crime has been committed. That's when they're supposed to come to you and ask you these type of questions. Or if they suspect you of a crime and they have to articulate the suspicion of the crime that they suspect you of committing. Okay? And if you are accused of a crime, then they're supposed to have your accuser right there with them or take you to your accuser. This is the proper way of how it's supposed to be done. And again, a crime goes down to the bare minimum of, is there any damaged property? Is there anyone that has been harmed or injured or murdered? Did you see me do these things? Where's your eyewitness that said I did these things? Who is the person? Who is the person, the individual that is saying that that I have done harm to them? You understand? They have to produce these things before any steps go further to say, oh, handcuffs is going on you. Even by them just flashing their lights when there is no emergency, that is a felony. They're not even supposed to do that. So that's how you know you're not even supposed to be getting pulled over by flashing lights for traffic infractions, because them flashing their lights alone, it's a felony. And the reason why I'm playing this audio for you guys, and it's gonna be extensive because I'm gonna break down the definitions of these words and show you certain things. The reason I'm playing this for you, because a lot of people refuse to understand how corrupt the world is. So when these politicians are in front of you telling you about this jab and all these things, and people like us are telling you, they're lying to you. Stop believing them. They're lying. And you're telling me, oh, no. Why would they lie? Why would they lie? Why would the doctors lie? Because they're corrupt. It's just plain and simple as that. They are corrupt. All right, but let's continue. Let's continue. So the other guy that you're going to be hearing talking, that's San Joaquin. All right, because this is it's his channel I got this from. But this video is very interesting. Now you're going to hear all the dirty tricks that these officers pull.
Yeah, he's a passenger in a vehicle that the law is being broken. Okay, you were speeding, number one. Number two, you're allegedly speeding. Allegedly speeding. 84 and a 70 is not an allegation. I haven't been convicted of that. You're container, which you have a speeding violation, and you don't have an open container, but you do have expired registration. I can have this vehicle towed.
And what he said to him, the only arrestable offense is speed. The only non-arrestable offense is speeding in an open container. So all those people that got arrested for having open containers in public, it's not an arrestable offense. Speeding also is not. Again, the Constitution tells you that you are supposed to be secured in your papers and your persons, and that you have the right to travel freely without even being hindered with any form of hindrance. So speeding is not against the law. What it is it's a moral responsibility to travel safe. Because if you use the word drive and you use the word car, then they know that you have contracted with them via through the DMV. Okay? So drive and car, those are commercial terms. Commercial terms means commerce, means that you are operating in a business, a mobile business, which then would give them the right to pull you over for traffic infractions. Because a license is only for businesses. You go to a licensor for a license to conduct business. All right. But we're going to prove all this. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. So when he's threatening them with arrest and all of that, that's foo-foo. All that is foolishness. We're going to back it up a little bit more. See, he pulled over the wrong set of people because these folks know they stuff, right?
That's not your allegation. 84 and a 70 is not an allegation. I haven't been convicted of that. Your registration is out on your vehicle, so I could arrest you if I wanted to.
Can't even arrest him for that neither.
Yes, it is. The only two non-arrestable offenses: speeding and open container, which you have a speeding violation, and you don't have an open container, but you do have expired registration. I can have this vehicle towed, and you can be arrested.
First of all, even if your registration is expired, it's not arrestable. It's not an arrestable offense, and only if you are operating in business, he could have it towed. You understand? Only if you're operating in commerce. If you're not operating in commerce, you need not to have your vehicle registered. All you need is just to have insurance on it, and that's it. Insurance, in case if you, because you have the moral responsibility. If you get into an accident, you're supposed to be able to cover the damages of the next person's vehicle that you've hit, right? And it's not a, it's an, you call it an automobile or your private conveyance. That is what you call it instead of a car. But if you're doing Uber, if you're doing Lyft, if you're doing a taxi, if you're driving limos, trucks, these things, buses, that's a business. All right. Big difference. Let's go. Let's keep going. I want to play. God damn it.
You have a speeding violation, and you don't have an open container, but you do have expired registration. I can have the vehicle towed, and you can be arrested. To be towed, I have to be convicted of the crime. You are convicted. You're driving a vehicle. I haven't been to court. You're being okay. Yeah. Do you have an idea?
You heard that? He said to be he has to be convicted of a crime. You know what the officer said? You are convicted. So how do you convict someone of a crime that has not even happened? And the man hasn't even seen his day in court yet. So right there on the spot, they found you guilty before you are given your day in court. Right? So it's just to show you how corrupt this thing is. And for everyone that's been pulled over on the road, on the highway, for predominantly for nothing at all, more than someone is trying to fill a quota because they work off of commissions. Okay? This is what they do to you, and they make stuff up. I'm not saying it's every officer, to the young officers who are new, take lessons because a lot of people is learning this information now and they're learning how to shut you down financially without the job insurance protecting you and covering you. So a lot of them do this corrupt stuff too because they have a insurance bond that covers them when they assault someone or batter someone. And right now what they're doing to this man, they're assaulting him because assault is something that is also that is verbal. They're assaulting him, right? And by them pulling him over, he can't just drive off, so they've also kidnapped him. You don't have to be physically held in restraint and held down and don't move, you can't move to be kidnapped. Once a person of his stature with a badge and a gun tells you don't move and you don't move and you know if you move they're going to forcibly arrest you and these type of things, you've been kidnapped, held against your will. Once your freedom of motion is cut off, that's what it is. It's kidnapping. All right. So he told him that he's guilty before he even got to court, before any court date, or anything dealing with a court.
Registration is out on your vehicle, so I could arrest you if I wanted to. I don't think that's an arrestable offense. Yes, it is. The only two non-arrestable offenses: speeding and open container. Which you have a speeding violation, and you don't have an open container, but you do have expired registration. I can have this vehicle towed, and you can be arrested. To be towed, I have to be convicted of the crime. You are convicted. You're driving a vehicle. I haven't been to court. You're being okay. Yeah. Do you have an ID on you or not? Am I required to give it? You are required to give it. Do you have a supervisor? I sure do. Okay. Would like to talk to him. Okay. I will.
Now, when they're saying you are required, remember I already in the I think it's in the last video or the video before last, broke down the definition of the word require. It's literally a question. The word require means that they're asking you still for ID. They just say you are required because it sounds like an authoritarian word, right? So because it sounds like that and it's a trigger word for you, you think that it's a command, right? It's something that you have to do. You don't, because the very law tells you that you are secured in your papers and your persons. You don't have to show them shit. You don't have to show them no ID by law. So when he's telling you that you're required to show ID, he's asking you. It's another contractual word. So he's asking you to contract with him because he wants to see if you have a state ID, to see if you are state property, a citizen. Okay? Or even if you're a non-citizen and you still have a state ID, you are still state property. All right? This is where now, because them as officers, they work for a municipality. And the definition of a municipality is a corporation, a business. That is what municipality means. It means a business. That means their police department has an EIN number. Okay? Which also means every time they pull you over, they ticket you, they're taxing you. Which means they're supposed to report those stuff to the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, which I something tells me that they don't, because it's not their job to tax you. They're not the IRS. Okay. Now that's for those who are traveling in a private capacity, but for those who are doing business, commerce, then you are to adhere to their stuff. Because you're doing commerce. But if you're going from point A to point B in your private automobile, your private conveyance, you're going to go visit your mom, your girlfriend, taking the kids to the mall, these things, then nothing is supposed to hinder your right to travel, not even toll roads, not even tolls. Okay? Toll roads are for folks who are operating in business. If you're not operating in business and you drive through that, they're not supposed to drive you down and pull you over and say, "Oh, you got to pay the fee," or "Here's this ticket," and go back and pay the fee. None of that. Okay, so we're going to keep going. And let me just put it out there. These are not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer or a legal expert. I'm just giving you a rundown of this video and my opinions and stuff. But anyway, let's keep going.
Well, I will let you talk to him, and if I have to, I'll have him come out here. I'm requesting. Okay, all right, good deal. Hey, I pulled this guy over, 84 and a 70 on one night.
So this is him now talking to his supervisor. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this because this is the most corrupt shit I've heard. Right? Watch this.
18, I asked him for his driver's license and insurance, and of course are you aware of penal code, yada yada, all this and that. Well, he's got expired registration on the vehicle. Asked the passenger for his identification. He wouldn't give me his identification at all. He's asking for a supervisor to make location. They're asking for a supervisor to make location on a traffic stop? Yes. Where are they from? San Antonio. I told him, that he's in violation of the law because he was speeding. He said, no, I was allegedly speeding. And I said, well, you also have expired registration. And he said that he hasn't been convicted of that, so there's nothing I can do about it. And I have no idea. It's two Hispanic gentlemen. Two Hispanic? Yeah, I told him, he could be arrested for the registration, and the vehicle could be towed. And he sat and argued with me and said, no, I can't do that. And that I need to he's requesting a super.
Now, pay attention. You see the two gentlemen that he pulled over? First of all, he pulled over the person behind the wheel. That's where his business lies, with the person behind the wheel. He's not even supposed to look at the passenger at all, because the passenger is not the one operating the vehicle. It is the person behind the wheel. So the passenger did not turn left on red when it says don't turn on red. You understand? The person behind the wheel did. So even by him even talking to the passenger, that was a big no-no. And then you listen to his tone and his demeanor, how he's trying to make it seem like these men were hostile. And then when he started saying that, they're Hispanics, that has nothing to do with anything. That's where now he went right into what is called color of law. Black male, white male, Hispanic female. That's color of law. That's not even law. Right? That's now going into the legal jargon of commerce, business. Okay? Legal fiction, artificial persons. That's what that went into. This is why they use these terms. Black male, white male, so on and so, because black male means civilis mortuus, dead at law. White male is dead at law. It all goes back to what is called an all capital name, a straw man name, which is a business name created to impersonate you, but it's not you. This is why he's using these type of words, and this is why he's saying, oh, they're Hispanics. Okay? That, and it could just be that he's a straight up bigot also. But let's get back into this. Let me say greetings to everyone that's in the chat. Greetings to you all. I know it's late. I was going to go to my bed, but I said, you know what? Let me do this before I take it down for the night. But yeah.
Supervisor to make location. Okay. Let me call Steve, tell him what's going on, and then I'll call you back. Okay. All right. Bye. Okay, you there? Yeah. Okay. The guys have been back and refusing to cooperate with us. That's correct. What is going on is the driver. I went up. I introduced myself as Deputy Kelly. Blah blah blah. And I asked him for his license and insurance. And he handed me his license. He hadn't handed me his insurance yet. And then I asked the passenger. I said, can I see you have an ID or can I get your name and date of birth? He goes, have I committed a crime or am I suspicious of committing a crime? And I said, no. I said, but we check everybody that, we have the right to check anybody in the vehicle to, just to see if, to identify yourself, number one, see if you have any, if there's any issues or whatever, warrants or whatever. And he said, but have I committed a crime? And the guy said, well, you're aware of penal code such and such and such? And I said, yes, sir, I am. And he said, well, you need to.
And I also want y'all to pay attention that every time they ask if they've committed a crime, he goes back to using the word violation. That's commerce talk. That is corporate talk. Have I committed a crime? Well, the violation that have I committed a crime? Well, the violation that have I committed a crime? Well, the violation that you committed. You understand? These people are trained to try to trick you out of your freedom at any cost. Any cost. Okay? Let's keep going. I love this video. I love this video because it exposed so much and it teaches so much.
To read over that, a little bit better or something. And I said, well, you also have committed a violation with expired registration. And I said, so you guys are being detained on a traffic violation, and that's why I'm asking for identification for both of you. And he goes to say, I'm alleged, you're alleged, I haven't been convicted of the speeding violation. I said, but you do, have expired registration. He said, but the passenger's not. He's not driving the vehicle. Why do you need his identification? And I explained it to him again. He goes, well, I need your supervisor to come out here. Well,
yeah, who is this? This is Scam Lightly calling me this late. Give me 1 second, y'all, because every time they call me, cuts off the audio.
Supervisors are off. Yeah. And I'm not coming out.
Let me back it up.
And he
I'll back it up more.
I'm alleged to have committed a violation with expired registration. And I said, so you guys are being detained on a traffic violation, and that's why I'm asking for identification for both of you. And he goes to say, I'm alleged, you're alleged, I'm not. Yeah, I haven't been convicted of the speeding violation. I said, but you do, have expired registration. He said, but the passenger's not. He's not driving the vehicle. Why do you need his identification? And I explained it to him again. He goes, well, I need your supervisor to come out here. Well, supervisors are off. Yeah. He said, I'm not coming out. Okay. Is Mr. D or Brandon out there?
Now, so what he said, the supervisor said that she's not coming out. Right? So the supervisor is not even supposed to is not supposed to reject not going out there on the scene. But the reason why the supervisor is not going out there is because they broke no laws. And it's a waste of time. So the person who's going to advise him now, yeah, is going to tell him to do some corrupt, crooked shit and make stuff up as they go to try to force these people to sign the ticket, which is a contract. It is a note. Okay, so once that officer gives you the ticket and tells you to sign, because that man knows that he's not supposed to sign that ticket, but they're going to threaten him to sign the ticket. And in contractual law, if a contract is signed through threat, duress, or coercion, then the contract is null and void. It doesn't. It's not valid. It doesn't stand. All right. But because they know that, they're going to force you to go down to the courts, to their courthouse, and you're going to have to pay the court fees, and then you're going to have to pay these fines, and if they arrest you, you're going to have to put bail. You don't know how to recoup that money back from them. You understand? By that time, the officer done got the paperwork them in, and he already got it paid his overtime. So even if you do get the money back from the government, the officer already got paid his overtime, and that's all he cares about. Understand? So the whole objective is to force them to sign the ticket or be kidnapped. Listen to what he's going to advise him to do. They just making shit up.
With you? Because at the time I got the guy had provided an ID. The driver gave me his identification. I ran him and he's clear. Okay. But there, he's being the passenger's not cooperating. They're driving 84 miles an hour in a 70 mile an hour zone. 1216 status. Hang on one second. 1216. Everything's okay. Can you have 1208 make my location, please?
See, the backup is for intimidation. That's what the backup is for.
So, but the passengers not cooperate. Okay. Well, the passenger can please, we can request, but he doesn't have to. Sure. Okay. Tell the guy you're going to be fighting for this. If he refuses to sign, tell him, okay, if you got to go before a magistrate, you're under arrest. Okay. So if he refuses to sign the citation, then arrest him. Right. Tow the vehicle, give the passenger a ride back to the office, and let the person. Okay. All right.
So you heard what he said, though. He said that the passenger doesn't have to show him the ID, but yet still, let me back it up. Let me back it back up. So he let him know that the passenger doesn't have to show him any ID, but now he's trying to talk away around all of that to threaten them to still sign the ticket, because all of this means nothing if he doesn't come away with an arrest or a signed ticket. It means nothing. He has to come away with some paperwork, some document, or something that will cause them to have to generate paperwork. So this is why now the threats that he's going to direct them to tell the other fellas in the car. The passenger, he's not even supposed to even talk to the passenger, and the driver didn't even have to show him any form of documentations neither, right? Well, so let's replay this back. I backed it up a little bit. I'm gonna replay it back because I'm still getting these calls coming in.
He goes, well, I need your supervisor to come out here. Well, supervisors are off. Yeah. He said, I'm not coming out. Okay. Get Mr. D or Brandon out there with you. Chief said, because at the time, I got the guy had provided an ID. The driver gave me his identification. I ran him and he's clear. Okay. But there, he's being the passenger's not cooperating. They're driving 84 miles an hour in a 70 mile an hour zone. 1216 status. Hang on one second. 1216. Everything's okay. Can you have 1208 make my location, please? So, but the passengers not cooperating. doesn't happen.
Sure.
Okay. You tell the guy you're going to be cited for this or this. If he refuses to sign, tell him, okay, that you got to go before a magistrate, you're under arrest.
Okay. So if he refuses to sign the citation, then arrest him.
Right. Tow the vehicle, give the capture, and ride back to the office and register that.
Okay. All right.
Now, you heard that? He's going to force the driver to sign the citation, and if he does not, the whole objective is that they want the driver not to sign the citation so that they could kidnap him, because they want to get the passenger down to the station to sit in the station for a few hours till they get his information. You heard that? He's not arresting the passenger. He's to drive the passenger down to the station. You hear how corrupt that shit is? Corruption at its finest. At its finest. Right? Let me back up a little bit and play it.
Tell the guy you're going to be cited for this or this. If he refuses to sign, tell him, okay, that you got to go before a magistrate, you're under arrest.
Okay. So if he refuses to sign the citation, then arrest him.
Right. Tow the vehicle, give the capture, and ride back to the office and register that.
Okay. All right.
So tell him, you're waiting, you're getting the whole, still waiting on supervisors or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
How far out?
He's in Cuero.
So he also told him to lie to the person behind the wheel. He said to tell him that you're still waiting for the supervisor. When he already told him, the supervisor said that I'm not coming out there. So there's no supervisor coming. This is what they do when they walk back to their cars and they're having these conversations that you can't hear. This is how it actually goes.
Okay. Where's he is at?
Myersville.
He's actually probably closer.
Yeah. Well, he's on his way.
Okay. So, but yeah. Tell him you've been on the phone with supervisors. There's no supervisor on duty at this time. And stuff. Make sure your cameras are all rolling good.
Yeah.
Tell him, that we have the alleged seat or the seat. We have.
Now you heard when he told him to turn on his cameras and make sure that it's rolling. When he's going to go back to give him that set of instructions that he's giving him right now to give him. That's when the cameras, his body cam is going to be rolling. So his body cam wasn't rolling during the initial stop. His body cam wasn't rolling during the first interaction with these folks, right? Let's keep going. Well, his body cam audio, it looks like. I don't know why he told him about the body cam, because when you watch the video, the body cam is obviously on. So I'm guessing then that he thought that his body cam wasn't on, and he's telling him to turn it on at that point, because the body cam is obviously on. Right? Let's keep going.
Expired registration.
Yeah.
Okay. Is his insurance good on the vehicle?
I don't know. I had got his insurance card, and I just got on the phone.
Right. Well, I call ask dispatch on the radio and they can confirm his insurance.
Okay. 1216 County. Can you confirm insurance on that vehicle?
Insurance is confirmed, expires May 16, 2018.
Receipt.
Hey, Chief, call me.
Okay.
See, they're going through everything to find a reason to ticket these people.
Just to let you know, I'm coming at you from Myersville.
Receive. No code. Just make my location.
Last night was great. It was, right? I choked you out, dude. How about
All
this
right,
spot?
this is a
Can we talk about me choking you out? Can we talk
commercial.
about-
Hold
a
on.
couple of times.
So he's gonna go back to them in a few, right? and then you're gonna hear what the driver is gonna say. And you're gonna hear the interaction. But the person that advised that officer advised them totally wrong, and the pardon me, they pretty much conspired. They pretty much conspired to extort and kidnap these two men, right? Also, in the beginning, he was also asking them where are they from.
Yeah. Okay, guys, keep the brief with me. Is that what I'm calling? If he refuses to sign the ticket, look him up. Just keep the affidavits on him. You know, you can use the fee and the expired registration to make sure you get good pictures. Okay, count in.
So now he got back in touch with the chief, they said, and the chief said if they refuse to sign the ticket, arrest them and throw some affidavits on them about the violation, right? On them, right? So that's what he's telling him now, what the chief said, right? This is corruption at its finest. Let's keep going.
So the vehicle has a passenger ride with you to the office, okay, and to this office, so we can get somebody there to pick him up, okay? Because, you know, if they refuse to sign, which is a promise to you.
So Pete, to show you how corrupt this is, yeah? So now he's telling them that the chief said to arrest them if they refuse to sign. Mind you, just one person behind the wheel, right? But if the person behind the wheel does not sign, they're going to take the passenger back to the precinct for someone to come to the precinct to pick up the passenger, and they're going to tow the vehicle. In a situation like this, the vehicle is supposed to be left with the passenger so the passenger could take the vehicle. If the owner of the vehicle says, hey, I want him to take the vehicle, they're supposed to give it to him, but they're not going to do that. How many of you ever been pulled over and the next person next to you, right, say they have a license or they have a permit? Yeah, even if they didn't, but say they have it and they still didn't give them the vehicle, they still towed it and took it away, right? But they're not supposed to. But they all they want is the car. That's all they want. They want that car because most people, when their cars get impounded, they can't afford to get it out of the impound. And what happens is the impound is mostly privately owned, right? And they sell the car, and you never get your car back, and you took a loss, a major loss, because there goes your transportation. Let's keep going. They auction off your car. They auction off your vehicle.
Here, we got to take a minute to get on magistrate right away. Okay. Now, I thought that if you were asked to identify yourself, you had to. Only if it's in commission of a crime or an investigation. Okay.
You know what he said? Only identify only if they're in commission of a crime. You know what in commission of a crime is? If you're actually breaking the law, doing a crime right there on the spot, and he sees you doing the crime. That's it. The other stuff that he added on is also bullshit. That's the only time. That's why the guy asked him, have he committed a crime? They have not committed any crime. So that means everything else after that, they're not arrestable offenses. They're just making everything else up to steal their property, and they just don't know when to leave well enough alone. They made a stop. They're going to see it through, even if they got to make shit up. And that's what they're doing now. They're making shit up. Let's keep going. Now, look, I'm not 100% against the officers here because, like I said, I believe that you are supposed to have your stuff insured. At least have it insured. This man neither have insurance, nothing, right, on his stuff. But I believe you're supposed to have it insured because what if you get into an accident? You have no insurance, you have no nothing. I have no way to find out who you are, no nothing. So I get that. You see what I'm saying? And you have assholes out there that will literally use that and hit and run you and drive off, knowing that you have no way to find them. You see what I'm saying? So I believe you're supposed to have your stuff insured. But let's keep going.
because he's just sitting there after he doesn't have to. Okay. All right. Now, if the guy said, if you go to tow the vehicle, the guy says, well, we're related to him. Well, hey, he won't identify himself, so I don't know who he is. If it's $7, eligible driver's license. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good deal. All right. I'll be back. All right. Bye. All right. Bye.
Hear what he said? So they really want to identify that passenger, right? So now with the threats of towing the vehicle, if the passenger don't show a driver's license, then they're going to take the vehicle. They're going to say, "Well, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you have a valid license. You got to show your driver's license, right?" None of that is law. None of that is law. Everything they're doing is straight up unlawful. Let's keep going though.
All right, this is going on. I pulled these guys over 84 and 7. Approached the vehicle, introduced himself, told him, so he had me his ID. He never gave me his insurance card. So I asked the passenger, hey, do you have any identification on your name? Can I get your name and date of birth? And he kind of sits back in the corner and is like, am I convicted of a crime? And I was like, no, sir, you're not at the time, but we do check everybody in the vehicle to make sure they don't have any local warrants or anything. And, they will. Do I have to? I said, well, I'm asking you to identify yourself. Identify yourself. And then this guy, the driver, are you familiar with Penal Code 36, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then,
see, they get butt hurt. They get so upset when you know the law. They get so upset when you know their own policy that they're violating their own policy. So this is why I said, and this guy, the driver, was saying, are you familiar with Penal Code, blah, 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 blah. He didn't even know the Penal Code. He didn't even know it. That's why he keep going blah, 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 blah. And that's why he keep bringing that up, because now he's emphasizing now that the driver is the problem, right? And this is to the new units that just arrived on the scene. So I'm playing this to show you how situations get escalated real fast with these folks, with these policy officers when the new officers arrive on the scene. Because some of them don't know what's going on, and the translating officer that's breaking down the situation, he's hyping it up, right? He's hyping it up. All that he has done was totally unnecessary. Even your own dispatch told you that the passenger, if the passenger doesn't have to show ID, neither did the driver. No one had to show ID. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to plead the fifth. You're not supposed to even talk to the police. They pull you over, you stay silent. It's nothing they can really do. You see what I'm saying? And if they put handcuffs on you and arrest you, it's kidnapping. Now they're going to have to explain what crime you've committed, and they can't tell you that you committed a crime because you didn't give them your name, you didn't give them nothing, you didn't speak with them. Because when you open your mouth also and talk to them, you're contracting with them. Unless you're opening your mouth to say, yo, you have that you are exercising your Fifth Amendment to stay silent, yeah, and that you do not wish to contract with them, and you're reserving all your rights. And anything else in any prolonged conversation, man, you're contracting with them. Let's keep going.
And then I noticed that the registration's out. So, I tell him, the kid kept arguing with me, saying, well, I'm not, under arrest, or I'm not, suspected of any crime, so I don't need to identify myself. I said, well, actually, I said, sir, you're a violation. You're with 2 violations. I said, 1 for speeding. He said, allegedly speeding. He said, I haven't been convicted of that yet. And I said, you're driving a vehicle that.
You hear that? You see, every time the passenger and the driver says crime, he used the word violation. Because they have not committed no crime. So he can't tell them, yes, you've committed a crime. He used the word violation. You understand? And when the driver told him, yo, I have not been convicted of this. So it's allegedly. Everything out of their mouths when they come to you, until you have been taken to a court in front of your peers. Yeah? An actual court, an actual Article 3 court, not just any court. Because all other courts are courts of commerce. Those are business courts, meaning they're not actually courthouses. All right, but a banker's forgot what they call it. It's a banker's. It has to do with banking. So when you step in front of that magistrate, you're dealing with the banking laws. You're dealing with trust law. You're dealing with commerce, business. You understand? Unless you're in front of an Article 3 judge, then that's different. And there's very few Article 3 judges in this entire Northern America. It's probably a handful. Okay? So understand, man. Understand. Let's keep going.
Expired registration, which is an arrestable offense, so I could arrest you for it. And he goes, no, that's not an arrestable offense. And I said, yes, sir, it actually is. I said, the only two non-arrestable offenses are speeding and open container. So he kept arguing, blah, blah, blah. Right, I don't know. I want to speak to the supervisor. Can you have him come out on location? So I called Carver, told him what was going on. He told me to have one of y'all make location. And, if the guy refused to sign the ticket, he said arrest him. And since the other guy didn't identify himself, tow the vehicle and have that guy take him back to the office and just let him sit there until he gets arrested. As far as the passenger, now there is, my understanding is there is no.
Now they asked them in the beginning, where are they from, right? Because if you're out of towners, you can't afford to just sit in a police station because there's no one coming for you because you're from out of town. So literally what they would have done if you were out of towner, he would have just arrested you, both of you, right? Because out of towners are easy targets. You understand? And they get more money up out of an out of towner than they do a local. Okay? So this is why when you're driving through certain states and they spot like a Pennsylvania plate or a New York plate or a Chicago plate, Florida plate, right? Driving through portions of the South and you get pulled over, these are the reasons. Let's keep going.
True. That is true. It is true. Yeah. He doesn't have to identify himself. I'm just gonna go up there and say, look, you're gonna get a citation for this, so you're just sign it. Yeah. He said, put one of them in your car and one of them in mine and haul them in. Yeah. You told that by signing it is because of, yeah. Promise. Yeah. All right. All right, sir.
So here the other officer saying if you told him that if he signs this, he's promising. So once you make a promise, because it's a promissory note. A promissory note is a contract. You understand? So they forcing him to contract. And what they just did, what they all did, is against the law. That's conspiracy to commit a crime. Because they all conspired to kidnap this man. They all conspired to extort this man. Okay? They conspired right there on the spot. So those officers are the one that's actually committing a crime, a criminal offense. It's not the other way around. It's them. They're the ones breaking every single law just to force this man to sign a promissory note saying that he's going to come down back to their court building and pay a fine for something that he didn't do, and for something that is not even a criminal offense, for something that he, well, let's just keep going. It's not against the law. Yes, play.
I need you to sign here across the top. Not admission of guilt. Just state you've contacted court on or before the 22nd of February. All right. There's a good question.
So see, this guy knows his shit. But you hear what he said? It's not an admission of guilt. But what did he say to him earlier? That he's guilty, right? But he needs him to sign that document to say that he's guilty. So that promissory note is an admission of guilt. So right there on the spot, he's also lying to him to trick him into signing that note, right? Because earlier he told the man that he found him guilty. So that note is a contract. and they need you to sign it. If you don't sign it, then there is no contract. You understand? They need you to sign that contract to say that you're guilty. It's an admission of guilt. Yes, a debtor's court.
Sign it. Well, you're refusing to sign, you'll go to jail. I'll go to jail. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm just trying to get across, my signature is not going to be voluntary. It's going to be on the. Well, it's just a promise that you're going to contact the court. That's what your signature is. It's promise. My signature is not.
Now, look, he's letting him know that my signature is not voluntary because I asked you, what would you do if I don't sign this? And he's letting him know that he's going to arrest him. So he said, okay, so this is under threat, right? You're threatening me. This is under duress. So he's letting him know this is under threat, duress, and coercion, right? So, and he's saying, the officer is not going to admit to it, right? He's not going to admit to it. It's like when Ron Paul, the son, was questioning Fauci, and Fauci would not answer the questions. It's like when they were also questioning the CDC director, and she would not answer the questions when they asked her a simple question: what percentage of the CDC employees have been vaccinated? And she did not answer. She just kept talking around it. This is what the officer's doing, because you know why? They know that they're doing wrong. He knows what he's doing is dead wrong. He knows it. Okay? Now let's play this so you can hear this part. Right? This is crazy. Let me back it back up a little bit, and let's play it.
The signature is not going to be voluntary. It's going to be on the.
We won't back it up.
Yeah. You said put one of them in your car, one of them in mine, and haul them in. You told them that by signing it is because promise. Yeah. All right.
See, they want you to promise. A promise is a contract.
I need you to sign here across the top. Not admission of guilt. Just state you'll contact the court on or before the 22nd of February. All right. Here's a quick question. What happens if I don't sign it? Well, you're refusing to sign, you'll go to jail.
He's not refusing to sign.
So, well, I'm just trying to get across. My signature is not going to be voluntary. It's going to be on the. Well, it's just a promise that you're going to contact the court. That's what your signature is. It's a promise, but my signature is not voluntary. I'm doing it because if not, you're taking me to jail. Okay, that's the only way. Well, the only reason I'm signing it. Okay, you're signing saying that you're going to go to court on or before this date. That's what your signature. Regardless if you want to sign it or not, that's what that signature is for. Yeah, just for the record, my signature is not voluntary, and I'm signing this because if I don't sign, that's what you said. What you're doing when you sign that is you're promising that you're going to go to court, regardless if you volunteer.
You see, he finally said it now. That's what the other officer asked him. Did you explain to him that this is a promise? So, why would you force someone to commit a promise, right? It's like, I promise I'm going to come back and see you later, and you don't come back. Because a promise is a contract. It's a verbal contract. It's sealing that contract. You're making a contract with them. So they need you to promise to come to court, because by law, they can, by not law, but by their policy, they can hold you to that promise. You understand? So he needs for that to be that promise. So now it comes out his mouth and saying, well, so the guy is saying, well, my signature is not voluntary. You see, he needs to convince him that the signature needs to be voluntary. So as long as the guy sticks to it, because now his body cam is rolling, the guy sticks to it's involuntary. You're forcing me to do this. It's against my will. It's not, the contract is not valid. But again, that officer still gets paid his overtime, regardless of the fact. Yes, because of breach of the public trust. So yes, his qualified immunity has been waived. So officers have what is called qualified immunity. Okay? So qualified immunity is what protects these officers if they're in the right. But if they're in the wrong and they willfully lie to you and they conspire against you to do you harm, to assault you, Then qualified immunity goes out the window, and they're open for indictment, prosecution, lawsuit, so on and so. You name it, it's open. It's open season on them. This is why you're supposed to let them know if you are conspiring to defraud me. Your qualified immunity goes out the window. There goes your qualified immunity. There goes your qualified immunity. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's keep going.
Or not. Well, okay. I'm saying my signature is not voluntary. My signature says I'm gonna go to court. Yes. But my signature is not voluntary. That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what you're saying. What I'm trying to say is you're making me sign it because if no, I go to jail. No, I'm asking you to sign it. It's up to you whether you want to sign it or not.
You hear that? So he tells the guy he doesn't understand what the guy is saying. The guy's literally telling him, "Yo, if I don't sign this, you're going to take me to jail. You're going to force me to jail. So my signature is not voluntary, right?" So the guy said, "So my signature." So he wanted the guy to say yes, his signature is voluntary, and the guy was like, "No, no, no, my signature is not voluntary because you're going to take me to jail." So he's like, "Wait, I don't understand." So he's like, "If I don't sign, you're going to take me to jail." And he's like, "Yes." So he was like, "You're forcing me to sign." So now he changes his language and says, "No, I'm asking you to sign." See, he's asking you. That means you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. And the reason why he's asking and not forcing him, because he cannot force him because he did not commit a crime at all. No crime was committed. The only crime that has been committed was by all of those officers. The one that just came on the scene and the one that was on the phone with him and the chief or the supervisor for saying that they're not going down there and calling back and giving them an advice of how to arrest these men unlawfully. So it wasn't a lawful traffic stop. It wasn't a lawful interaction. It was everything about it was unlawful. Right? This is crazy.
When you lived there, you didn't know that there was
This is
another way to
a commercial again. This is the whole.
It's under threat, duress, and coercion. And if I don't sign it, I go to jail. That's the only reason. Well, if you don't go to court, you go to jail. Yeah. But right now, if I don't sign, I go to jail right now. Yeah. So basically, all this is saying is you're going to go to court. If you don't go to court, then you get a warrant and you go to jail. You're not listening. So you're saying.
So listen, you can't make this stuff up. So I'm telling you, they're so stupid. Like they're so stupid. So you hear what he said? He said the guy said, "If I don't sign this right now, you're going to take me to jail." Right? So because he's on body cam, he's not saying yes. He's saying no. If you don't go to court, you're going to jail. But the guy's like, "If I don't sign a ticket, you're going to take me to jail." So if I don't go to court, I'm going to go to jail. But if I don't sign a ticket right now, I'm still going to go to jail. But you're not admitting that you're taking me because they're kidnapping him. If he doesn't sign that he's not supposed to go to jail, and he doesn't even have to go to court, he can answer back that summons. Simply, all rights reserved, no contract. Send that shit right back into them. That's one way. Two, he can also create a affidavit of his evidence, put it on their public record, and answer it back that way. Right? Three, there's no such thing as a traffic law court. They like to tell you that there is, but there isn't any. Because when you get down there, if you're going to go down there in person, it's called a special appearance. When you get down there in person and you're doing a special appearance, you tell that magistrate or that person that's posing as a magistrate for traffic law court that you want to take it to trial. Then they're supposed to put you in front of a real judge. That's how that goes. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to want to even have you take it to trial. They'll just throw out the ticket and the charges right there on the spot. You see what I'm saying? But why go through all that unnecessary bullshit? Right? So he's not going to admit that he's going to arrest him. He's telling him if he doesn't go to court, then he'll be arrested, right? Now they should have just said, "Yo, they want the right to a speedy trial right there on the spot. They want to take them to court right now. They have all right to do so, and they're supposed to do so." So that's why earlier during the audio, if you listen clearly, carefully, you'll hear the person on the phone telling them that once you bring them down here, we'll just go get the magistrate right away. So they're going to bring the magistrate. Pete, this is how dirty and corrupt they are. So it's not that of them going to court anymore. They're going to bring the magistrate like they did with Sancho Bland to the jail cell, right? And truthfully, they're supposed to take them to the court where the magistrate is, but they're going to unlawfully arrest them. And when the magistrate comes down to the courthouse to the jail cell, the magistrate is also in on it. So the magistrate, 9 times out of 10, is going to rule against you. And then you're also going to have to go to court on top of that again. Corruption at its finest. And the reason why the magistrate will rule against you is to make it look like it was a clean arrest, and it was not. It's all an act. It's in show. This is why Senator Rand Paul calls it theater. Theater. Let's back it up so you can hear this. Corruption at its finest. Goddamn.
I understand what you're saying. What I'm trying to say is you're making me sign it because if no, I go to jail. Now I'm asking you to sign it. It's up to you whether you want to sign it or not. It's under it's under threat, duress, and coercion. And if I don't sign it, I go to jail. Well, if you don't go to court, you go to jail. Yeah. But right now, if I don't sign, I go to jail right now. Yeah. So basically, all this is saying is you're going to go to court. If you don't go to court, then you get a warrant and you go to jail.
Now you hear that? Because right there on the spot, right there, when they talk about, oh, he needs to sign, and they talk about they're going to arrest them, they need a warrant for all of that right there on the spot, right there that they're doing. They need a warrant to arrest them. They have to have a warrant. They don't have a warrant. Anytime they come to you and they tell you they're going to arrest you for stuff and they want to search your vehicle, you ask them where's their warrant. There's an arrest warrant and there's a search warrant. And the search warrant, what are you searching for? The warrant is supposed to say what they're searching for on the warrant. And anything that they find that is not on that warrant, they're supposed to leave it alone. All of this is supposed to happen before they can arrest you. The only way or they bypass all of this is if they saw you in commission in the act of committing a crime. They saw you committing a crime and they came and they arrest you. If an eyewitness pointed you out and said, that's him, that's the person, then they can arrest you. But if not, they have to have a warrant. You see what I'm saying? I told you, in any state, they must have a warrant. Must. Let's back it up again.
I don't understand what you're saying. What I'm trying to say is you're making me sign it because if no, I go to jail. Now I'm asking you to sign it. It's up to you whether you want to sign it or not. It's under it's under threat, duress, and coercion. And if I don't sign it, I go to jail. But if you don't go to court, you go to jail. Yeah. But right now, if I don't sign, I go to jail right now. Yeah. So basically, all this is saying is you're going to go to court. If you don't go to court, then you get a warrant and you go to jail.
You're not listening, sir. So he's saying that if he doesn't sign it, you're threatening to take him to jail.
No, I'm not. No, what I'm saying, okay, he would go to jail and be magistrated because either way, you're going to get magistrated. Sure. Okay, so either way, it's either do it now or do it later. However you want to do it. Either you go see a judge now, or you go see a judge later.
See? So what I mean? You can see the judge anytime. But it's not for them to dictate to you if you go see the judge now. It's for you to tell them you want to go see the judge now. And they're supposed to escort you to the judge. But he's not escorting him. He's going to arrest him. You understand? So he's going to hold him against his will. He's supposed to willingly follow behind them in his automobile to go see the judge. But what they're going to do is they're going to arrest him, arraign him, run him through the system, and then bring the magistrate down there. And a magistrate and a judge is not the same thing. It's not the same role. You understand? When it comes to the core of it, two different roles. Magistrate deals with traffic infractions, so on and so, mostly minor things. Which your president of the United States Corporation is also a magistrate. And as the president being a magistrate, he needs a judge to authorize anything that he wants to do as far as mandates and stuff like that. That's what he needs. Okay, and it has to be lawful. The mandates has to comply with international law, and it has to comply with constitutional law, and it does neither. Now, this is why the Fifth Circuit Court put a hold on his mandate thing. That's one reason. The second reason why they put a hold on it is because, again, the holiday seasons. They want you to go out and spend all the money you can on the holiday seasons. So watch when January comes in. If the Fifth Circuit Court starts saying, "Oh, well, you know what? We didn't find that it violated the bounds of the Constitution, or only this portion violated the bounds of the Constitution," then you know your Fifth Circuit Court is dirty and corrupt. Dirty, 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 dirty dogs. Dirty dogs. Pigs in the mud. You understand? And corrupt. And that's another thing, because if they block his mandates, that means all these places that's still enforcing the mandates, they're not supposed to. It's been blocked. It's been halted. It's been stopped. But anyway, let's keep going. So you hear what he said? They're going to magistrate him. He's supposed to ask for an Article 3 judge. A magistrate is not an Article 3 judge. That is so corrupt. Because right now, they're talking about traffic infractions, and he's talking about he's enforcing on them that they're violating his constitutional, his God-given, his creator-given, his natural-born, his universal rights as a man, a natural person, to move and travel freely from point A to point B without being hindered. This is where now it goes in front of an Article 3 court, which is like the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. That's an Article 3 court. Okay? And they're supposed to take him to it. Even if it's way in West, it could be way in West Bubba. They're supposed to take him to it. Not arrest him, but escort him. Meaning he travels right behind them in his private conveyance. But when they arrest him, they're saying that he committed a crime. He broke the law. But in this interaction, they're not telling him that. They're trying to talk around it. Dirty dogs. Back it up a little bit. Let's play it back.
If you haven't signed it, you're threatening to take him to jail. No, I'm not. No, what I'm saying, okay, he would go to jail and be magistrated. Okay. Because either way, you're going to get magistrated. Sure. Okay, so either way, it's either do it now or do it later, however you want to do it. Either you go see a judge now, or you go see a judge later. So it's however you want to do it. Okay. All right, here's your ID. There's your citation. All right. This is a courtesy card. All right. Stating, with all the judge's information on it. Like I said, you have until.
All right, let's stop it from right there. You know why he gave him that courtesy card? Because that was supposed to have been a courtesy stop. Had nothing. It wasn't supposed to have nothing to do with any form of ticketing, anything like that. Anytime they feel like you are going too fast, because speeding is not a crime. It's not against the law to speed. They could pull you over as a courtesy stop to say, hey, be careful, slow down. There's a lot of cars on the road. We don't want to cause any accidents. Okay? Courtesy stop. Hey, the reason why I pulled you over, just to let you know that you have a busted taillight. You might want to, get that fixed as soon as possible. Okay, enjoy your day. Courtesy stop. Hey, Notice that your left blinker is working, but your right blinker is not working. Just wanted to let you know, didn't know if you knew it or not. Make sure you know. Just make sure you get that fixed. Don't want to cause any accidents. Courtesy stop. That's why he gave him the courtesy card, but he didn't do that. Everything he did was unlawful. Every single thing. Okay. Now, see, brother Haya Aru Aman Ray El Bey, he's dropping some info right there in the chat for y'all. All right. And there was some info that he's dropping in the chat for you guys. All right. So now let's get into this. Yeah. I want to read something to you guys, and then we're gonna pick up on part 2. In the sun up. In the sun up. All right. Because I'm being hit with text messages telling me to get some sleep. But it's coming from a good place. I have not been. I've been only getting 3 hours of sleep, if anything. So let me get this. Let me pull this thing up here. Okay. Let me get this up. Let me find back the site. Give me 1 second, y'all. Uh-oh. Come on. I almost have it. All right. I gotta go through my notes and stuff that the Mayor Arax, we share so much information throughout the days, like hundreds. Okay. This is one of the sites. Let me see. So this site is called StimelLaw.com. That's StimmelaW.com. So it's STIMMEL hyphen LAW.com. Right? So now here, this is license agreements, the basics. Among hold on. Come on. Among many types of businesses, relationships, one encounters in the modern world of transactions is the concept of a license agreement, whereby one party grants another the right to use in a business context a right, trade name, method, or product of some other asset owned for mutual benefit. So here, because you got that license from the DMV and because you transferred title over to the DMV and got a DMV's title, yeah, you now gave your automobile to the DMV and they labeled it as a car, which now the mutual benefit from that is that every time your license expire, you have to go to them to renew it and you're paying for it to be renewed. Every time you get a ticket, because now they're contracted with the policies officers department because of your automobile. Yeah, because the policy officers need to pull over your automobile to pull in revenue, right? They make majority of their money off of traffic stops. Okay, so this is the mutual benefit, and the mutual benefit is not between you and the DMV. The mutual benefit is between the DMV and the police department. Let's read this back. Yo, you can't make this stuff up. Tell y'all, cannot make this stuff up. So this is Steinmel law. Among the many types of business relationships one encounters in the modern world of transactions is the concept of a license agreement, whereby one party grants to another the right to use in a business. Context a right. Trade name, method or product, or some other asset owned for mutual benefit. The person or entity granting the right is termed the licensor. The person or entity receiving the right is termed the licensee. This article shall outline the basic requirements for a successful license arrangement. Competent legal and tax advice required before culminating a license agreement in the United States. The reader should first review the articles on contracts, on limited liability entities, and on intellectual property, what it is and how to protect it. So now like if you have your tribal ID and stuff, that's your intellectual property. You understand? That's your creation. That's your property. And that's your intellectual property. But you see, if you have a state issued ID card, that's not your intellectual property. That's the state's. That's their property. Before reading further, since it will be assumed in this article that the information in those articles is known to the reader. Okay, so here we go now. The basic concept of license. To license is simply to grant another person the right to use some asset and owns for a particular purpose and usually for a particular payment or series of payments termed a royalty. Every time you pulled over and you're paying, you pay them tickets? Huh? 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 Most commonly, a party license the right to sell or exploit some business asset one owns, such as intellectual property, a product, or a methodology. A few examples are a license to develop and promote a patented product and sell same in a particular territory, a license to use one's product as part of a blend of products that are sold, a license to utilize a trade name or logo to sell product in a particular locale, the license to publish a copywritten work one has written, etc., etc. The license is usually reduced to a written contract. Pay attention. A license is usually reduced to a written contract specifying the rights, duties, and payment that are part of the license. A license can give all rights to exploit the asset of the licensee, or only some of the rights of or rights to use in conjunction with other persons. The license normally grants full rights to the licensee to exploit as the licensee sees fit, but may have certain performance criteria or the license lapses or becomes non-exclusive. Now, every DMV has a thing also what they call a private license. For folks who are traveling in the private, you understand? Meaning outside of the jurisdiction of. But here's where that is also a little trick. You don't need a license to travel from point A to point B in your means of private conveyance. Still, when you go through that DMV and go get your private license, you're still in the DMV database. The whole point of traveling freely is not to be in anyone's database or DMV's database. You understand? And because now you are not doing commerce, you're not doing business, you don't need a license. license are for businesses, which is what this article here on this law site is pretty much telling you. It's for businesses. So when you go to a licensor, which is what the DMV is to you, yeah. When you went there and you fill out that paperwork and got that license, now you fell into contract with them. When you went there, you gave them and you registered your automobile, yeah, through them and got that DMV title. You're even deeper in contract with them. You're contracted to do business, licensed business. Okay, this is what a license is. Let's go into let me I'm gonna go into two definitions. Well, let me do one. Let me do one definition. All right, I see a text. I'm gonna wrap it. I'm gonna wrap it. Give me 1 second here. Let me find the definition. All right. Which one of these should I do? Mm, Let me see. Detainer. Duress. Let's do duress. Let's go pull up the definition for duress. All right. Let's go ahead. We're gonna go to 1856 movie year. And we're going to pull up the rest. Yes, you have to. You gotta. So, brother, Haya Haru Aman Ray El Bay says you have to separate yourself from your activity off the road. All right. He says I'm using the highway as a matter of public right. Exactly. I am not an interstate commerce. Exactly. Right. So if you're looking for like the proper wording, there it goes right there. Now let me find the definition for the rest. Don't forget 1856 Bouviers family. 1856 Bouviers, right? At no time at all, when they pull over a vehicle, are they supposed to talk to the passenger? No time at all. But they created that tactic to target what they call minorities, what they call black people. Okay? That's how they created that tactic because when you are trained and programmed that when you see a gun and a badge and a uniform, that they're your authoritarian figure, right? They're the authority, right? Authoritarian figure. And you are quicker to submit to them, whether they are right or whether they're wrong, okay? Out of fear, because they've ruled over you in your community with an iron fist for generations, and your parents and your parents' parents taught you about the marches and the police and the fire hoses and the kidnapping of our people and the beating to death of our people and the torture and all these things and the planting of drugs on you and these things. So you give them what they want, what they ask for, not knowing that when you're doing that, you're putting yourself in a worse position. All right. Come on. The rest. Where are you? All right, so I'm almost there. I'm scrolling. Almost. Okay. All right, it's coming up right about now. So I'm in the ends. It's the P's. Durant. The rest. An actual. So the rest. An actual or a threatened violence or restraint of a man's person, contrary to law, to compel him to enter into a contract or to discharge one. You hear what duress is? So if they're compelling you, anytime you're compelling anyone to enter into a contract, yeah, that contract is no longer valid. So when they're saying sign the ticket, and the guy's saying if I don't sign it, you're going to arrest me, that's compulsion. That's duress. You understand? They're forcing you. Okay? And that's right there at the very top definition of duress. Okay? Now, it goes on to say Sir William Blackstone divides duress into two sorts. First, duress of imprisonment, where a man actually loses his liberty. So once they put their handcuffs on you, they took away your freedom. Once they pulled you over, they took away your freedom. Once they opened their mouths to you without a crime being committed, they took away your freedom and assaulted you. Let's keep going. So he says, Sir William Blackstone divides duress into two sorts. First, duress of imprisonment, where a man actually loses his liberty. If a man be illegally deprived of his liberty until he sign and seal a bond or the like, he may allege this duress and avoid the bond. But if a man be legally imprisoned and either the procure or either to procure his discharge or on any other fair account seal a bond or a deed, this is not by duress or imprisonment. So this is why they needed him to willfully agree to sign the ticket. This is why he was saying, no, 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 I'm not going to forcibly arrest you. No, they needed him to agree to sign the ticket. But when he says this is under duress, that's what was messing up everything. And that also was trying to get him to say, nah, nah. He wants to just willfully sign the ticket. Because you're now entering in a contract that is binding when you willfully do it, when you're not threatened. But if you're threatened and you sign that ticket, the contract is not valid. Everything is a contract. And before they could also arrest you, they need a warrant. They need an arrest warrant. And in order to get an arrest warrant or any type of warrant, they have to show and prove where the crime was committed. And right there, we're going to take off from there and continue the rest in the sun up. All right. So I say 10 p.m. Eastern time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We'll continue the rest. All right. I'm going to take it down and try to get some shut eye so that I could be more focused and not so all over the place as well. And yeah, right. But just know, man, like it's no joke out there, right? And I break these things down just to show you the deepness of the corruption, because some people will come on and say, "So what? The officer's just doing his job." No, he's not. Harassment is not a part of his job. Unlawful acts is not a part of his job, right? It's not. Solving murders, stopping thieves, stopping rapists and pedophiles. Yeah, those are the officer's job. A ticket for jaywalking is not the officer's job. When you put him in his capacity as a law enforcement officer, you have to put him in that capacity. And that's when you pull their oath on them immediately. As they pull up to you, I accept your oath of affirmation to the Constitution. Or you affirming your oath today, officer. Or you just call them by their name, whatever their name is. And right there, you immediately put them in a common law spot where they have to act as a law enforcement officer and no longer a policy enforcement officer where they're only dealing with commerce. Now you put them on the spot right there where they have to deal with you as a living, breathing man, which is even more powerful because if they now put handcuffs on you in that position, now they've committed perjury. They've committed so many different type of things because they took an oath to uphold and protect the Constitution, and they've broken the Constitution. What if they arrested you? That's treason. All right. All right. So, brothers and sisters, I'm about to be up out of here. Don't forget to check out the podcast. It's Shatabi Media. That's XTABIMEDIA. Check out the podcast again. We have it. It's stocked full with information about COVID, the pandemic, a lot of fallacies and falsehood stories that's being put out there, and we have more audios that we're going to upload by this weekend um, on these topics also as well. So don't forget to go over there and check it out. Just type in, Shatabi Media is pronounced Shatabi Media. That's XTABI, right? MEDIA, Shatabi Media. Google it. It will come up on Google. All right. If you have any issues listening to it on Spotify, that's because Spotify is owned by China and they're pushing their Operation Alice censorship program over here. All right. So that's why. So you could go to Encore or all the other platforms and you will get to hear the the podcast, right? To what you want to listen to and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, and if you want to support the podcast, there's a link, there's a button there to also support it as well. And we'll just say again, much love, much respect to you all. Again, the podcast is Shatabi Media, XTABIMEDIA. Google it, it shall come up. It will come up. We're gonna do the next part to this at 10 a.m. Eastern time. All right, 10 a.m. Eastern time in the sun up, right? Because we have a whole lot of stuff to go over, a whole lot of definitions to go over, and we're gonna get into it and do this. So be prepared. Make sure you have your pen and your pad, and you're taking notes. Anytime we do our live streams, American Arawaks and I do our live streams, make sure you take notes. Also, go over and check out American Arawaks' channel as well. Over there, check that out. Subscribe to his platform. He has a world of information on his channel, and we're going to be working uh with something for folks who are having exemption issues and stuff like that. All right. Also, we came across a particular article as well that is breaking down the exemption thing, and we're going to show you once again why tribalism, nationality is important because those who have a tribal identity are exempt from their whole airline banning of traveling to certain places within the Americas. You understand? And we're gonna go over that information also with you guys within the week as well, right? So that you guys understand how deep this is. So when you're identifying as Black and African American and all these things, you've been doing yourself a great injustice over the years because the Walter Ashley Plecker was the one who redefined the Indian as an African American because when they redefined the Indian as an African American, it took you away from your land that you are on, and you went on the next man's land through paperwork, right? And then the colonizer claimed eminent domain that this was abandoned property, and they started claiming it. And this is how you got hit with the phrase on you, African American. And all those old school Pan Africans that's taking you back to Africa, those are all old school Masons and Shriners. All the young ones too, like the Sarasu and Seti and the young pharaohs, they're they are Masons and Shriners, and they'll go out and expose the Masonic community because we're in a reset where the younger generations of Masons are to replace the older generations of Masons in this new age era that we are in, right? So they're still not for you. They'll give you 99% of truth and hold back that 1 or that 10% from you. Okay? So understand this. Understand. So yeah, so they've taken an oath to take you, to mislead you away from your land at all costs. They'll always push the Africa identity on you at all costs, out of Africa theory and all that type of bullshit. All right. So when you're identifying as something that you're not, these draconian policies and laws, you're going to be locked in underneath them. And then they're going to there's a time that's going to come where you can no longer do status corrections and change your status and fix your status. Like folks who are from the islands and that you have a green card, on your green card, if you have a green card, I don't know about the new ones right now today, but if you had anyone from anywhere up to like 7 years ago, it has nothing saying about nationality on there. It doesn't say black. It doesn't say anything. It's blank. It doesn't say none of that stuff. Does it identify you as black? Does it identify as African American, West Indian? Nothing. They left it blank. You know why? It was for you to go and correct the record and fill it in. You understand? For them to fill it in. And right there, automatically, once they put either West Indian or whatever if you identify as an Arawak, which the Arawak is also a West Indian. Not only is the Arawak and West Indian, the Arawak is a Western Hemisphere Indian from South and North America. You understand? So it automatically marks you as an American national, meaning that their COVID restrictions don't go for you. Period. For the folks in Haiti, the Haitian embassy has this information. The Haitian embassy has a different passport than the ones that you guys be traveling on. They have the passports for the indigenous people of the land, and you are the indigenous people of the land. You are Arawaks. You understand? So you can be able to come on the mainland, which they're calling the United States of America, freely without any hindrance of your travel. You don't need to jump on rafts and boats and risk your lives coming across the waters, chalk infested waters, and these things. When you're going up into South America and they take you out of South America to deport you back to Haiti, all that is unlawful. But a lot of you lost your way. You don't understand who you are. And then there's a lot of you that understand who you are that has this passport that I'm talking about. And folks from the West Indies can go to Haiti, to the Haitian embassy. This is why they're trying to take over Haiti so bad. Because you could go to the Haitian embassy and apply for that passport. It's $104, $105 for it. It might be $150 now. Okay? But there's also more to it. You also got to go through your status corrections and these things as well. And you go on for the passport and all that. Boom. It's everything is there. It's there. It's there. But yeah. There y'all. All right, with that being said, I'm out of here. Peace. Much love to you guys. Respect, respect.